All right, should be a pretty quick video for you. I got to make up for my two muted videos that I uploaded. Had no idea that you couldn't hear any damn thing. European Central Bank, I see this title, Zero Hedge. I said, quick look surprised. The club doesn't want any competitors to their fractional reserve lending debt-based enslavement system, known as paper money, that you have to borrow into existence everywhere with interest attached, that the slaves, that's you and I, have to pay back. European Central Bank wants to curb Bitcoin use over fears it may lose control over money supply. Let me start out before I even read the first paragraph by saying that would be the best freaking thing to happen on planet Earth if these central banks lost control over the money supply. What did old Papa Rothschild say? Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. The first time the ECB officially warned about the dangers of virtual currencies in general, and in particular Bitcoin, what was then a mostly unknown currency trading in the single digits in USD terms, was in November 2012, when in a report called Virtual Currency Schemes, it warned that in an extreme case, virtual currencies could have a substitution effect on central bank money if they become widely accepted. The increase in the use of virtual money might lead to a decrease in the use of real money, thereby also reducing the cash needed to conduct the transactions generated by nominal income. In this regard, a widespread substitution of central bank money by privately issued virtual currency could significantly reduce the size of central banks' balance sheets and thus also their ability to influence the short-term interest rates. Central banks would need to look at their existing tools to deal with the risk. For instance, trying to impose minimum reserve requirements on virtual currency schemes. Ironically, since the ECB has moved significantly down the narrative of currency substitution, and in fact, following a recent push to eliminate paper currency, now that the Euro $500 bill no longer is produced, the central bank has been urging for a shift away from real paper money and into electronic variants. However, overnight, in a surprising reminder how the European Central Bank feels about Bitcoin and other virtual money, the ECB urged European Union lawmakers to tighten proposed new rules on digital currencies such as Bitcoin, fearing they may one day weaken its own control over money supply in the Eurozone. In other words, first the ECB went after cash. We don't want cash anymore. Now it's going after all virtual currencies like Bitcoin. According to Reuters, the European Commission's draft rules aimed at fighting terrorism required currency exchange platforms to increase checks on the identities of people exchanging virtual currencies for real ones and report suspicious transactions. In a legal opinion published on Tuesday, the ECB said EU institutions should not promote the use of digital currencies and should make clear they lack the legal status of currency or money. Quote, the reliance of economic actors on virtual currency units, if substantially increased in the future, could in principle affect the central bank's control of the money supply, although under current practice, this risk is limited, the ECB said in an opinion for the European Parliament and Council. Quote, thus, EU legislative bodies should not seek in this particular context to promote a wider use of virtual currencies. ECB, don't worry about it. Your banks and the central banks and the plutocrats and whatever you want to call these people, they're not promoting it. It's us citizens who realize what the hell's going on. This monopoly you guys have. Federal Reserve, we can print any amount of money we want. And you sorry taxpayer consumer, you get none of it. You get none of it. We give it to our banker friends, only the too big to fails. We don't give it to any other bank. We don't give it to small banks. We don't give it to medium banks. We only give it to too big to fail banks. They have this thing called a lending window, borrowing window. They come up. We give them the money at near 0% interest rates, like free money, as much as they want. And then they will loan it to you. Now, notice how we give to them at near zero interest rate. We just give them this huge bulk sum, and then they then take it, and what they used to do, and some still do, park it back at the Feds, essentially, and earn interest on it. We give them money at zero, practically almost zero interest rate. They then park it back here through a little treasury scheme. Well, it's actually at the treasury, but it's kind of here. And we give them more interest rate back than they're paying us. So let me just give you an example. Let's say I give you, $100 billion at almost zero interest rate. And then you park it back at my house for 1% interest rate. Well, let's say it's 0.5% I'm charging you, right? Or technically it's about 0.25%. So 0.25% of interest. You can have all this money. You want $100 billion? No problem. You're my buddy, Jason 4. Love you. Part of my club. Here you go. $100 billion. What are you going to do with it? Well, I don't want to loan it out to people. All these people defaulting. I'd rather sit it back at your place. Okay, you got it. Park it back over at Jason 4's house. I'll give you 1% on it. So what you were given for 0.25%, you now park back at my house for a full percent. You don't have to do anything. $100 billion earning you 0.75% interest. I would take that in a heartbeat. I'd be well off. Sometimes they went ahead and lent it out to you because they still have to do mortgages and car loan, right? They got to play the game. We got all this money. We got to do something with it too. So we will lend out some of it to people. But hold on, you're not lending me out at 0.25% like you got from the Federal Reserve. What are you complaining about? You just got a house for 3.5% interest. When have you ever had a mortgage for 3.5%? That's a good point. That's a good point. You know what? Never mind. I'm happy. Thanks, bankers. I'll have a nice day. You guys are great. No, wait a minute. Jason 4 speaking here. Sir, get your ass back in line. You're not done speaking. Let me let you in on a little secret. You're happy at 3.5% interest? Well, sure. Houses used to be 5.5%, 6%, 6.5%. So you're happy about that? Yeah. How can you be happy when the bank that gave you that money was given to them for free by the central bank, Federal Reserve? Essentially, it's almost free, practically free. And then they took the free money and said, here, you owe us this money. You owe us for the next 30 years at this interest rate. Wouldn't you like to pay half, or not even half, 0.25% on that mortgage to the Federal Reserve itself? Get rid of the middleman. Get rid of these banks. Hey, Federal Reserve, if you're going to give out money, give it to us directly. I'd like 0.5%. Matter of fact, you give it to the banks for their 0.25%, I'll pay you 0.5%. Give it to me for 0.5%. Mortgage and all. Oh, yeah, I'll be paying that mortgage for sure. Who wouldn't? 0.5%, right? So here we have the ECB saying we don't want competition. We don't want competition. We want this centralized thing. We want something decentralized. And again, I can open up my little wallet app right now and enter someone's Bitcoin address, and within minutes, it's there. And all I can think about, you go to a bank. Number one, you go online right now to your bank. Oh, I need to wire transfer some money. I got some programmers in India. I need to send them some money. Oh, you can't do it online. No, sir, we don't do wire transfers anymore at all online. What about domestic? Nope, not even domestic. So I got to come down there? Yeah, yes, sir. Okay. Let me go down there. Okay, here I am. I need to send $60 to these programmers. It's going to cost you $40. Pardon me? I'm sending $60. It's going to cost me $40. I'm going to have to come up with $100. Yeah, it's an international wire transfer, sir. If it was local, it'd only be $20. Oh, interesting. That's funny because if I use my Bitcoin wallet, it would be almost nothing. I could just kind of send it off. Some of these exchanges do have a little teeny, tiny, minuscule fee to transfer around Bitcoin. But it ain't nothing like dealing with the banks and are you using Authorize.net or PayPal or whatever? They charge 3% on every transaction and $25 a month usage fee. How about a big FU to that whole system and a big hello to the Bitcoin system? I'm opening up my digital wallet and I'm sending you something It'll be in your possession within a few minutes. Have a nice day. Game over. End of story. I can see why the ECB and the club don't want competing currencies, just like they don't want gold and silver competing, which is why they rig those prices. Anyways, that's it. Take care.